Hello, sweet friend. My name is Maike, and in this video, I would like to share with you my September currently inked, and probably a little bit of October too. And let me tell you, I had a blast picking out fallish colors, the amber yellows, the crispy oranges, the deep earthy browns. And to help myself shortlist some colors, I created this. This is just really simply drawing out some leaf shapes and then going in with ink and diluting it with a water brush to, just dilute the colors a little bit to see a little bit more what the shades are. And this is very fun to do. I highly recommend this. Also very soothing to do. And don't they look so cute together? Yeah, I had to really convince myself to not ink all of these up. But yeah, really, really fun. And then the other thing that I used to help myself select some colors is I looked at this printable that I created for the Cat Collage Club printable collection for September. And I really wanted some ink colors that would pick up some of these colors. And I just imagine putting some of these on a journal spread and having colors that really match those. I thought that would be really, really lovely. And so that was my inspiration, and let's look at the pens and inks. The first pair that I have here is my Leonardo Momento Zero in the color Angel Skin, and I inked it up with this wonderful yellow called Havanna by Atramentis. And this yellow really reminds me of grasses after the summer heat. You know, they're just a little crispy. They're, ready to be dormant during the fall. I don't know. But just wheat on the field, maybe. I thought that was really, really nice. So this is Atramentis. And I think for a lighter yellow, this is still very readable. And I think that's going to be nice. I like having at least one lighter color in my lineup for the journal entries that I want to have fade into the background a little bit. So if I have like photos or illustrations, then it's nice to have a color that's not so prominent. And so that is this one for September. Really, really nice. And we're sticking with the yellow brownish colors. I don't know, this color I feel like sits right in between yellow and brown. This is Birmingham Pen Co. Root Cellar. Really nice. It's really ambery. And I have that inked in my Benu Euphoria Milk&Honey. And how good does that look together? I think this matches really nice. It picks up this amber color in the cap band right there. And this color reminds me of acorns. I feel like, pretty perfect color for acorns. And I don't know, acorns are so cute. And I'm glad I have this color to represent them in my lineup, and we can fill this in. I got this sample from the lovely Elyse. I'll link her channel below. And I think this is another one of those colors that will go with a lot of spreads and with a lot of the other colors in my lineup. And one that, can just be really versatile, I think. So, Root Cellar. And I think the name is quite fitting for the fall, too. Not that that necessarily matters. And then this is the Benu Euphoria. And this is F-nip as well. Yeah, really, really fun. I quite like having two yellows, amberish yellows. Well, I don't know. This is probably not quite an amber, but this one certainly is going into that direction. Third combination in my lineup is actually a carryover, but I think it is worth repeating this one because it's such a wonderful combination for fall. So this is Cellar Afternoon Tea, which is a beautiful retro orange red, I think. It sits really neatly between red and orange, I would say. And I have that inked in my Asvine P20, which I call my Tigger pen because it just looks like Tigger, or it reminds me of Tigger anyway. So yeah, this is a really fun combination. And of course, I had to have at least some orange in my lineup to represent pumpkins. And I think this one is one of those that, yeah, can really neatly fill the spot of an orange without being too saturated or too out of place. I think this is a very, well, dare we call it sophisticated? I don't know. I don't know if this is a little too much of that, but yeah, really like this one, and it's so well behaved. I think I've mentioned in some video that I'm still not sure. This is a medium nib. If I like it better in finer nibs because it becomes a little too saturated maybe in these thicker nibs. I say that, but then also I've been really liking drawing with this pen and with this nib. And there the thicker line weights are nice. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I definitely think I'm gonna write this one dry and then decide going forward what I want to do. But yeah, that is my pumpkin ink for this month. Now I have fully crossed over into the reds, and red it is. This is Laban Aries Red, and I don't know what came over me. I just really wanted a red to draw with, and yeah, it's just really fun. And I inked it up in one of my Lamy safaris. I think this is called the Mango colorway. I'm not sure. And you know, looking also at October and Halloween, spooky season, of course, there's an argument to be made for a red in a lineup, but I am even more interested in this because it's a cute toadstool color. And this is a red that I think is more on the cool leaning side. Like if you had to choose between, is it a warm cousin, or is this sort of like a cousin of an orange, or is this a cousin of a pink purple, then I think it goes more in the pink purple. It has these cooler undertones. Yeah, so this is my first ink from Laban, but it's really well behaved, so that's really nice. I was also looking at Wearingle, not Dracula, although the Dracula I think is also a red. No, I meant, I was looking at Wearingle Hook, but I don't know, for some reason I really wanted to see what this was like. Because it felt like this one was maybe more of a school red than than the Wearingle one, so I kind of wanted that. So yeah, really fun. Next up, we have another Birmingham Pen Co. ink, and the sample was again from the wonderful Elyse. And this is such a wonderful color. I really like it. It's a red that starts to go into brown, I would say. So this is called Antique Sanguine. Speaking of red and Halloween. But yeah, I paired it with my TWSBI Diamond Mini, and so far this has been a wonderful combination. A color like this can obviously bring about all kinds of connotations, but I I think of just fallen leaves, crispy leaves, just the general things wilting. And I know that that can be maybe a sad connotation, but I like a little bit of melancholy. I like the in-between. So it doesn't make me sad, really. I just find it, dare I say, poetic. And I think this is kind of an interesting color because it also sits in between, you know, just like maybe leaves changing are an in-between thing. Yeah. And this is the kind of color I feel like is so exciting about fountain pen inks, because rarely do you find these in-between shades in gel pens, at least in my experience. This is a Diamond Mini. I love this pen. I think the size is so cute, and I love it for quick writing or even for drawing. And this is a new fine nib. I used to have an extra fine on here, and I just found it to be too scratchy. And so I'm glad that I bought a new nib for it, and it writes so smooth. So I think I'm gonna get a lot of use out of this pen and ink combo. And then the last combination that fits into the reddish, brown, purplish category is Colorverse Dark Energy. This color is so fascinating. I think this is a stunner. This is the most witchy color of my lineup right now. And look at that green sheen. Isn't that amazing? Unfortunately, that doesn't really come out in the writing, but woo, that is fun. And as you can see, the writing really is a dark brown, but then the longer you look at it, you can also see that, is it a purple? You're kind of left wondering. And I paired it with my Kaweco, I think this is the Frosted Grapefruit colorway. And unfortunately, I did something to the nib, and I think now it leaks, and it doesn't leak from the nib, it leaks from the surrounding area. So I think I broke my pen. That is not Kaweco's fault, that is entirely my fault, but I do want to give it one more chance and see how it performs this month, and to see if I need to retire this one with the ink leakage. But let me show you what the ink looks like in writing. So as I said, this is probably the most witchiest of the colors that I have inked so far, just in, you know, preparation for October. But also, you know, I mean, witches aren't necessarily just an October thing. And something about fall leaves and thinking of deep, dark forests makes me think of herbal witches and things like that. So I thought it was still appropriate, and it being such a deep purple brown, you know, again, thinking of foliage changing and maybe wilting a little bit. Yeah, it's just very, very fun, and it performs really nicely, even in this Kaweco nib. Although I must say that this has never been the worst of Kaweco nibs. But yeah, it's really, really nice. And I've already started sketching with this and having a good old time. This is one of those inks that really makes me feel like I can't get enough of it, because the color shifts so much between brown and a dark purple pink, that I just want to make more and more lines to see what's the next line gonna look like? How is it gonna shift? So that's really, really fun. And speaking of dark forests, the next one is Cellar Suki Gokoro, which I inked up in my Lamy Safari in this wonderful mint color. And this ink is a true chameleon ink. And look at that deep red sheen. So I think I'll best show you, because this is truly magical. So on Midori paper, this ink goes down in this tealish, dark teal green, and then it dries down to this more olivey green with a little bit of brown in it. And this is supposed to be moss. I think this is not the most convincing sketch of a tree trunk with moss, but you know what I mean. Maybe we put some grasses here so you can see that color changing effect. It is just so fun. This is, again, one of those special inks that makes it just so fun to draw and write, and just to see the ink changing and having it be on the page. Suki, Gokoro. That's at least how I pronounce it. And this is in a Lamy Safari. And it flows really, really well. This is a medium nib. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. And again, on some papers, it stays a little bit more that dark teal blue, which actually it did. Well, it's almost an indigo with a little bit of green in there. So on this paper, for example, you can tell that it stays a little bit more of that blue. But even here, you can see these dark browns in there. So yeah, that's a fun one to play around with for sure. And then this combination, I think, will get a lot of play. I think this is going to be a good daily writer. I finally got a bottle of Lidate after having gotten a sample from the wonderful Simone and immediately having used up the entire sample. So can't wait to now have it. And it's just my kind of brown because it's more of that yellow leaning brown, but then look at how much depth this has. Look how much red is in there. And if I may show you this leaf again, there you can see also just a little bit of that red coming through, which is really unexpected because, again, it is more of a yellow leaning brown. But yeah, there's red in there. There's all kinds of depth in this. Really, really fun. And of course, what is a fall afternoon without a wonderful cup of warm tea? So gotta have that. And I think I've mentioned this before. This pen has a soft fine medium nib, but I had it ground down to a 0.4 line width, so it is thinner than the typical soft medium fine. Did I say soft medium fine? It is soft medium fine. But yeah, this is just such a yummy brown. Really, really love it. So this is Herbin. And this nib has, because it's the soft nib and because it's 14 karat gold, has quite a bit of spring to it. Not that I tend to do a lot of thick, thin calligraphy, but fun nonetheless. And who knows, maybe I'll eventually learn it. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good daily writer and just a reliable color to go with anything. Because yeah, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I have all my bases covered. But yeah, that's Lidate. And then I do have a couple honorable mentions. These are not inked in a pen, but I am expecting to use this quite a bit for drawing with dip nibs. I think this is going to be really, really fun. So when I discovered the Suki Gokoro and how wonderful the color changing is, I also picked up a sample for another color from that same line, which is the Cellar Kokoro Guma. And look at that. Is it a brown? Is it a red? But I think in the bottle, it's more, again, blue, but then it shifts into this warm color. And doesn't it look so almost metallic? It's so interesting. But I think this is also a very fun fall color. So I'm gonna play around with this with my dip nib. And then another one that I think is so fitting for fall is this Vinta Arnable. Arnable? Yeah, something like that. It's a very deep, dark green brown with gold shimmer. And I just think that this, again, has this deep, dark forest with, you know, wilting grasses and foliage that is starting to decay, but is still magical and wonderful with a gold shimmer and this very bright green sheen. I'm not quite sure if that sheen is going to come through in the writing, but yeah, I'm going to play around with that with the dip nib because I want to see how I want to dump as much ink of this on the page rather than just having it go through a pen and maybe losing out on the sheen and on the shimmer. So yeah, this is going to be really, really fun. And then also honorable mention is this Tono and Limbs ink. This is called The Soul of the Rose, and I can show you the bottle because this is inspired by a painting by John William Waterhouse. Really beautiful, and it's just speaking to my melancholic soul again. And this is a dip nib ink, so yeah, I do want to play around with my dip nib with that. I do want to see if I can put this in a TWSBI and get away with that, but we'll see. But yeah, this is very similar, I guess, to the Cellar Afternoon Tea, although I would think that the Afternoon Tea is maybe a little bit more saturated. And I think in the writing, the Soul of the Rose will come through a little bit more lighter terracotta colorish, if that makes any sense. It's also very similar to the Antique Sanguine, but again, maybe a little bit more saturated, maybe a little lighter. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna play around with these for sure. And then I do also have, I have a Cellar Pro Gear and a Platinum 3776 inked with waterproof black for drawing and then being able to watercolor over it. And then I have my Cellar Pro Gear Slim inked with Atramentis Document Brown for the same reason. And I'm really, really proud of myself because I was able to tweak the nib and make it write wetter. So yeah, really fun. Quite proud of myself. But yeah, these are just go-to drawing pens. One other thing that I did to come up with this lineup was to think through colors that I can combine with each other, either for the writing or for drawings. And so I tested it out. I know this is maybe a little extra, but I had fun, so that's fine. And so, for example, this would be writing the title with the Aries red and then do the entry with the Suki Gokoro green. And I think that has a fun toadstool among the grass vibe. And again, this probably is also fun to draw with and combine these two. And then here we have the Havanna with the Lis d'été, and I think that's a really nice combination because the yellow in the Havanna really also points out the yellow undertones in the Lis d'été. And I think that would also be fun in the reverse, so use the darker color for titles and quotes or something you want to pull out, but then do the bigger body of the text in the Havanna. That's kind of fun. Here we have a sort of almost monochrome combination with the dark energy from Colorverse and then the writing in the Cellar Afternoon Tea. Really fun. And then similarly, if you want to stay monochrome but do almost like a little bit more of a witchy combination, you could do the Cellar Afternoon Tea with just for the title and keep that light, but then go the darker color for the text. Really cool. Also interesting how that shifts the dynamics a little bit. depending on where you put the darker color of the two. Kind of nice. Here we have the afternoon tea with Havanna. Very pumpkin-y leaning combination. And then, yeah, I showed you this one, but this is also very cool. This is almost playing with opposites in terms of the color wheel. So you have the Havanna yellow with the purplish, dark purplish, dark energy from Colorverse. Yeah, kind of fun. So yeah, a little bit extra, but I had fun, so why not? So before we wrap up, I do want to show you all of these up close one more time. I think I'm gonna really enjoy this lineup and have lots of fun with this. Let me know what you're inking up for the fall season. Are you just picking colors that please you, or are you thinking through the seasons? Let me know. I think during the summer months or even spring months, I just picked colors that I wanted to try out in my pens. But this time around with the fall, I really liked being more specific with the colors and with the combinations. Yeah. But yeah, all right. Let me know if you had a favorite from this lineup. Is there something that you want to try out and haven't tested yet? I'd love to know. I did leave a little bit of a space right here just so that I can come back maybe at the end of September and do some rankings. I think that might be fun. I want to experiment with that. And yeah, that is it from me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I picked out for September. And until next time, happy journaling!